it's Nurse Jet, Nursing the Truth. I hope everyone is having a great night tonight. A little chilly, so get your blankets, get your heaters going on. And I'm going to have to get out in this cold weather soon. So I wanted to make my fourth video of the day. You know, I've been on my rant about Jesus, John the Baptist, and now I'm talking about Simon Magus. I think it's very important that people that are on the fence coming out or thinking about coming out of Christianity or looking at different religions or what have you, the first thing you have to do is really know your ancient history and your ancient books and dig, okay? To where when you know this first, then you can dive into the Bible and you really can see the bullshit going downstream. I mean, you can just see it. If you know the players and you know the history, when you read this thing, you will go, that is such a lie. Like, really? Okay, so, still coming at you at the book, The Mask of Christ by Lynn Pickett and Clive Prince. You must read their books. You know, there is no such thing as 100% absolute truth. What Nurse J does is she tries to bring you information that I've read or I've studied or I have learned from other people. Not to say that everything I say is correct. I'm just bringing you the information. I'm a little messenger for Mercury. And so you can go ahead and make your own mind up. Make your own decisions, okay? But when people like myself bring you information and they tell you where to get it, then there must be some kind of truth to it. I mean, it has to be some truth. Not 100%. There's no 100% absolute truth. But in this book, I'm still talking about Simon Magus. Now, the writers of the Clementine homilies and all that good stuff I've been telling you about chose to use their material about Simon. The information matches what the authors say they know from other sources. There is, for example, the strange blend of Old Testament Judaism and proto-Gnostic ideas. You see, guys, you can even look at the scriptures and one gospel will talk about, you know, Judaism and the law and the Torah. And then the next thing you're like hearing Paul's stuff in the book of John and it's Gnostic. You got the pleroma. You got the third heaven. You got, you know, the crucifying yourself. You know, I mean, this is so Gnostic because, see, Judaism branched off into lots of different sects. And the Clementine homily stated that in his debate with Peter, Simon declared he believed in many gods. Woo! Let's give it up for Simon Magus. Yes. He believed in many gods under one God and that he appeals to the Old Testament to show they are many gods. Yes, my truth seekers, read your Old Testament. El Elam, El Shaddai, Elohim, El Belial, Baal. Yes, lots of gods. Yes, I will believe what he says about that because I know myself. I've read it. I've done research. Yes. The accuracy of this claim could only be judged after the extracts from the Great Revelation were found in 1842. And the homilies, Clement is told Simon's history by a Christian named Aquila, who declares that the Magus was one of the chief disciples of John the Baptist. Okay, so Clement heard by a Christian woman named Aquila that declares Magus was one of the chief disciples of John the Baptist. Hello? Did I hear a Jesus? Or was that Simon, Magus of Samaria? Ooh, things aren't looking too good, is it? Things aren't looking good for Jesus right now. And this Magus was called Hemero Baptist. Hemero Baptist. Literally means day Baptist. But much more significantly, the forerunner of Lord Jesus. John had even chosen Simon to succeed him, as the Theophilus G.R.S. Mead summarizes in his 1892 compilation of the ancient text on the Magus. How do you like that? Read your G.R.S. Mead. He is in the internet, the Gnostic Library. And people, if you don't think these theosophists have ancient text and esoteric knowledge, they have the skinny on the deal. They probably even have more than what our little fingertips can get a hold of. It's one side playing against the other. The dark versus the light. The inkies and the inwells. The bloodlines are clashing, even as we speak. And it was at Alexandria that Simon perfected his studies in magic. Boy, I need to get into that one. Being an adherent of John, a Hemero Baptist, though whom he came to deal with religious doctrines, all of John's disciples, Simon was his favorite. What? What is this? Simon was his favorite disciple? You see, this is why Nurse J is bringing this shit out. There is something fishy in this text. You know, these writers, I told you. They make shit up. They take a name, but they could put it on to a historical person. You see, as an example, I'm Nurse J. And Nurse J's talking to you about Simon out of this book. But someone could write an article about me and call me Sally, that likes to talk about religion. But I'm the same person. And it says he was his favorite. But on the death of his master, he was absent in Alexandria. What did I tell you? I told you, because I know my stuff. Nurse J reads. As John the Baptist was dying and getting his head chopped off, or whatever they did, we'll never know the truth. We just speculate. He was in Alexandria. And so Dositheus, a co-disciple, was chosen head of the school. And on his return, though his superior magical arts, Simon eventually convinced even Dositheus that he was the true leader, known by the odd title of the Standing One. The term Hemero Baptist remains something of a mystery, although presumably it refers to a sect to which the ritual of baptism was a regular occurrence rather than the one outright usually associated with John the Baptist. It is possible, however, that while the single initiatory rite may have characterized John's work with the masses, his inner circle, or the sect to which he and they belonged, could well have used it more frequently. This seems to be the case for the group that used the supposed cave of John the Baptist at Suba, discussed in the chapter 4, and is also suggested by the practices of the Mandeans. Another highly thought-provoking point is that the syntax of the original Greek of the homily specifically implies that Simon finished his magical training in Alexandria because he was a follower of John's. And as it should be obvious to the reader why this had to be magic and the Baptist, and why the great Egyptian seaport of Alexandria. It is by no means obvious to us now. All the other sources only ever connect the Baptist with Palestine, Judea, Perea, and Samaria. The only other connection is in the Acts of the Apostles, where one Apollos, who preaches the baptism of John, is said to have taken it to Ephesus from Alexandria. Let's give a clap to Apollonius of Tyana. Yes. Come from the same rite. According to the pseudo-Clementines, John the Baptist had a circle of 30 disciples. 30! Representing the lunar calendar. God Thoth is the god of the moon. Just as Jesus, they say. 12 symbolized the months of the solar year. John's circle included Helen, who is named Luna, Latin for the moon. In the recognitions, although it had been suggested this was a misreading of Selene, the moon goddess, the interesting implication is that Helen was also originally one of John's closest disciples, and we recall that Jesus said John's message appealed to prostitutes. Is there any other evidence of a connection between the notorious Samaritan Gittite and John the Baptist? In the Great Revelation, Simon wrote, "For now the axe is nigh to the roots of every tree. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is cut down and cast into the fire." Let's read that again. In the Great Revelation, Simon wrote. "For now the axe is nigh to the roots of every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is cut down and cast into the fire." Where have you heard that before? Luke has the Baptist saying immediately after the passage about God's being able to raise new children for Israel from stones, which is possibly referring to the non-Jews. The axe has been laid to the root of the trees, and every tree that does not produce good fruit will be cut down and thrown into the fire. Simon is either quoting John the Baptist or both are quoting from the same source. Wow. don't know how much more clear I have to be. There's only a little bit that Josephus wrote about John, and that is, they were afraid of him. They were afraid that he was possibly going to start an insurrection with Herod Antipas. And he was baptizing people into his initiatory rite. He was and did learn things from Alexandria, Egypt. You see, my dear truth seekers, baptism is not, and I quote, is not what the Jews or Judaism does. It is an Egyptian rite. It is to purify. And I've been to Egypt, and I have seen where the high priest have been dunked under water and has walked into the Holy of Holies, into the Karnak temple. And I have placed my hand on the obsidian stone in the Holy of Holies, and only I have no idea what has hit me. But I can tell you that the place had so much magic. Only if stones and rocks could talk. So there again, I encourage you. I plead, I beg with you. I have been out of Christianity almost 3 years, and each day it gets better and better. And I remove myself from the brainwashing and the indoctrination of the television. I do not watch TV. I do not watch the news. I do truth seeking. And I bring truth. I research. I read. I think. Everything is with the ancients. And I think that they are calling us back. Don't you think the collective consciousness of our ancestors is still living on? Have you ever thought that the energy never dies? It's just transferred to other people. The souls. It inhabits the matter. You think there's a situation to where a DNA switch hits and that soul starts working and it starts remembering and it leads others to truth? Well, guys, I hate to let you go, but I've got to go to the cheerleading showdown. So, as God Thoth and God Anubis and Goddess Bastet say Hotep and Ashe, and we hope you always search for truth. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Stay safe and stay warm, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. I want to get this truth out to everyone that I possibly can. Good night, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.